for recent. And April Rodriguez is a violation. We'll see if she's. Gave the invitation, doctor. My feelings will be heard for the record. If she's okay.
You need to get turn your phone off there.
And you know what, they're telling us it's not outside.
If you're gonna use your phone, step outside.
All right.
Rodriguez. Donovan.
We'll get them both.
Today's Friday.
That's what I hear.
It's gonna be a beautiful day. There's just enough rain for it to make for a nice weather for the plants. All right, everyone, today is Friday. Let's be kind, let's be patient, and you're gonna have to be patient anyway because it's raining outside, Adrian.
Yes.
And there's no need for reckless driving or trying to rush to get to places. All right, I'm gonna call the docket. When I call the docket, let me know you're here. If you don't respond, I'm gonna assume you're not here and a warrant may be issued for your arrest. In custody, we have Tracy Fitzpatrick, Israel Elizondo. Oh, we're starting off great. People are here, thank you. Raymond Alejandro.
Here, Your Honor.
John Branch is in custody. Jody Ochoa. Jody Ochoa. We're not making our G's. In custody, we have Jesus Alejandro, Daryl Masters, Kimberly Marsh, Chance Stelzig. Oh, no. Oh, okay, but he's all right, thanks. Aaron Trevino, Donald Davis. On bond, we have Joseph N. Zedula.
President, Your Honor.
Thank you. Darren Doze.
President, Your Honor.
Jose Munoz Monero. Oscar Lopez. Tyrone Lard. In custody, we have Christopher Garza, David Leon, Andres Cardenas, Jonathan Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, mine confirmed.
All right, thank you. Paula Serrano, Dominic Brinkley, April Rodriguez.
I inform her to be here today, Your Honor. Maybe she's driving safely to the court.
Okay. Olivia Osorio.
She's present with counsel, Your Honor. Like to approach.
All right. John Zulaka, Antoinette Garnica, and Jorge Diaz are in custody. Demetric Jackson. Caitlin Martinez. In custody is Armando Jimenez, Bryce Clark, Sonia Hunt. All right, is there anyone whose name was not called? All right, everyone, we're starting up a jury trial at exactly 11. So what that means is by 10:50, everybody's gonna be moving out. So confirm and let's have a good Friday. Thank you. Kimberly Marsh.
She's in the hospital, Your Honor.
Okay.
And for issues other than COVID, but COVID.
Okay, all right, I have people stand behind that line.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Okay. Kimberly Marsh is in custody.
No, she's in the hospital.
All right, can you check to see if Kimberly Marsh is in custody or in the hospital?
She is in jail. I mean, she's in jail, but she's at the hospital.
Took her to the hospital. Okay. All right. On this one then. We're gonna recall it.
And Your Honor, do you mind if I would?
Sure. So how's it been going?
Me,
Yes.
getting older, that's it.
Oh, well, you know what? It's better to get older than not get older.
That's true.
You know,
It's a good
even
point.
Benjamin Buttons had problems.
Good point.
Yeah. All right, so, are you able to come back on perhaps the 16th or the 19th?
The 16th of December, Your Honor?
Yes.
We could do the 16th.
All right, so we'll recall it on December 16th. Of course, if she's still in the hospital, if you call us and let us know, then we'll put it on a different day.
Okay.
Sounds right.
And we'll be excused.
Yes, thank you so much for popping in.
Thank you.
It's always good to see you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Your
bye-bye.
Honor. Y'all have a great Friday and wonderful weekend.
All right, you too, thank you. Are you guys doing that Christmas tree lighting? Are they, is today they have a Christmas?
it's this evening, yeah.
Yeah, the courthouse is having a Christmas tree lighting. My understanding they serve hot chocolate and popcorn. And Mr. and Mrs. Claus will be there. What time is that?
I'm not sure.
I think it's probably, it has to be at 5:30.
I'm sure we'll get an email.
Laura Metzel will probably know.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. Laura, when is,
As soon as they bring them out.
ceremony that
Oh.
they have?
You already
Tree-lighting ceremony here or in New York? I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it's 5:30.
I think is it today?
Yes.
Yeah, probably like 5:30 or 6 or something.
Probably right when it starts.
Yeah. Do you want to run into Mr. and Mrs. Claus or are you trying to avoid them this year?
Hey, I'm always on the nice.
That's right.
I am not.
Is that 5 to 8? Oh, well, Robert, I don't know why you're announcing the obvious.
Yeah, it's kind of a given.
Yeah. If you're the nicest, I'll say like, what's going
I have it on appeal list.
on?
You what?
Okay, can we put on Olivia Osorio? And where is that? Board, please.
I'll let it go out the door. I think that's what you're right.
Setting your honor, come in, review the file. There are some things I still need to look at, your honor. It's a lot of it. There's a lot of video on this one. It's called in.
So you have all this.
I think I do. I just gotta have, you know, it's one of those things, I may have them, but I gotta make sure they all open up. And some of them take 45 minutes to 50 minutes to even open up.
All right. Have you confirmed with the state?
I
All right, and state, do you know if you've uploaded all the stuff?
I believe we have.
That's
All right, I'm gonna recall this. We're gonna come back on.
Remember me.
Friday the 13th of January.
was gonna say December, I know it's not right. Okay, yeah, I'll take my calendar real quick. Friday 13th. I think that'll work.
Well, you know, when you watch your 30, it's not Friday the 13th, it's Saturday the 14th. I'm saying Saturday the 14th. There was a show, a comedy show. With this guy, his last name is, it was called Saturday the 13th. So I was just thinking about Saturday the
I'll put
13th.
that up.
Yeah, they'll give you a reset form and then you are excused. Drive safely.
Your honor, appreciate it.
All right, just make sure your client signs the reset. David, Donald?
And I've got a second one. On
That'll be
April.
for the separate. Who's here on cases, Alejandro?
I'm present, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Alejandro, come forward.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. So this is it, correct?
Yes, yes.
And who is the prosecutor on Jesus Alejandro?
It was, Brian, I think. Brian.
I don't know, council did a chance to review the PSI report.
No, I haven't, Judge.
Oh, so you can give him a copy and just give him 5 minutes and we'll take it out.
Sorry about that.
And this one.
He's trying to avoid games. He's got to do that. Baby's doing like 2 days.
Thank you.
That's the boy. That's just needs to be.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Serrano? Second chair.
Okay. Okay, so that one. How many?
Deputy, can I get Rodriguez right here?
Thank you.
I don't know. I was looking at this. Yeah. Anyways.
So. Yes. Makes it simple.
Okay, tell her that's the word. The video audio, which says she was. I understand what there's one side.
Good morning, Judge. Members of you. It's like, wait, we've got much to go for you.
So. Very first. It is. The process will continue. They might. Yes. They only goes to the guest house. The person talking was, yeah. And then she's at her house. And that's not like that's in the very first section. That's in the process. More, we could all of that. Work out some sort of now. So later on, she'll be down there. About gravity. I'm not, you're not getting it off. You have it. I'll answer your question. 114. 7 later on. 8 one is what
I went to any of her mom.
Yeah,
And they like bring it in. Swami has like a great. They have really good. Anyway, yeah. It's different, you know. It must be so much.
Right, April Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I'm present. I don't think she made it. Yara.
All right, do you want to, is she on, surety bond?
I think she's on free trial. She's on PR.
No, she's on PR bond.
And they said they hadn't been, weren't able to get hold of her when they sent me the violation report. And I started calling all the numbers. I left messages here. She finally called me back from one of the numbers. I spoke with her on Wednesday. Yeah, I can look up my numbers, Your Honor, because I need to go to other courts real quick.
All right, so we're speaking.
If I can get a hold of her and she tell me she's coming, then I'll come back. How's that?
Well, I mean, you have to come back anyways. I'll have to put this on the record.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me try. Let me see which number I got from her. I think it was a 723 number. It was. She called me back from. She said she was calling back from her mom's number. I was going that number, so I called.
I don't know if you want to try this.
I'll get back up to her. See which one I got. on health today. There's a-
Was it?
She's.
That was a 3.469. So
It's a enameled St. Christopher medallion. I'll shake that.
Are you all ready?
Yes.
We will call it.
Thank you, Jeff, for giving me the back.
All right, Bernard's ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Court is calling in 2022. If I can have everybody whisper, if you're in the box, please don't talk while we're on the record. Court is calling 2022 CR 6208. State of Texas versus Jesus Alejandro. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state
Daniel Escobar for the state of Texas.
defense?
Michael Latimer.
And are you Mr. Alejandro?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you entered a plea of no contest on September 30th. You also entered a plea of truth and enhancement. The court found the enhancement true, found there was sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The state waived paragraph 2 of the enhancement without objection. According to your plea bargaining agreement, punishment is to be assessed at cap of 12 years in the prison. There's a $500 fine. The state is opposing your applications for community supervision, and they're taking it into consideration. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report, state,
Yes, Your Honor.
defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections to the PSI report, state,
No, Your Honor.
defense?
No,
State, do you have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Defense, do you have any witness?
only the defendant.
Okay. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony here will be the truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Lower your hand, make sure you keep your voice up, lower your hand. State your name for the record.
Jesus Alejandro.
All right, defense.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Alejandro, could you please tell the judge why you believe that your application for probation and or deferred adjudication has merit, and what the judge would like the judge to do with regards to that application?
I would like the judge to help me out, send me to a drug program, because all I've been sending me to prisoner into outpatient drug programs because of my drug addiction and alcohol addiction.
Have you ever been to any residential treatment facility?
No, sir.
Have you ever been to any outpatient treatment facility for drug use?
No, sir.
Do you have any diagnosis for mental health issues?
Yes.
What are those diagnoses?
Schizophrenia. Depression.
Anxiety?
Anxiety.
When was the last time you were prescribed any medication for those conditions?
Begging from the county jail to get medication.
Now, when was the last time you were prescribed? Is it recently, last month, years?
Recently.
Okay. And during the offense of this case of April of 2022, were you on medication, taking medication then?
Not at that moment.
You notice in the pre-sentence investigation report and the TAP evaluation in the probation department, if your application for probation is granted, they would recommend drug treatment. Do you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
And I described to you the conditions of the safety facility. Would you agree to go there?
Yes, sir.
We wanted your mother to attend. Why isn't she here?
They just did a surgery on her leg. And they put her in the nursing home to all the IVs done, then go send her home, but she couldn't make it. She wanted to come, but she couldn't make it.
And what have you been doing while you were in Bexar County Jail on this case?
I've been working as a trustee and trying to get a vocational class
Okay, what do you do as a trustee?
as a payment security
And you've been doing that since
since the day I got like that.
So you're talking, especially with this issue.
Yes, I'm a trustee.
you have an extensive criminal history, 8 felony convictions, 12 misdemeanor convictions. What do you want to tell the judge about those?
Give me another chance. She wouldn't ever to me report again.
What's different now than was different in, say, 2018 or 2014?
Now that I'm getting a little bit older, and I'm realizing that you're not playing with you no more. And you want to end up throwing your kid away. You need to change my life.
Who lives with your mother?
Just me and her,
How old is she?
like 77, 76.
So you have had a chance to read the PSI report, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And you would agree that in the PSI report, it says that you currently have a parole hold for a prior case, correct?
no, I got a parole because I'm this case right now.
But so you were on parole.
Oh, yeah, I'm still on parole.
Now, in your PSI, when you spoke to someone during the TAP evaluation, you indicated that you were using drugs around the time of the offense, correct?
Yes, sir.
And as a fact of the case, it was that the officer saw you put something in your mouth, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you would agree with me that he thought that it was likely drugs, what were drugs?
Yes, it was drug.
And you would agree that you do have a pretty extensive criminal history.
Yes, sir.
And that the one time that you were put on probation back in 2000 for a DWI, you were revoked on that probation. You would agree, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. No further questions, John.
Any follow-up questions?
No.
That's a good question. So where are you on parole for?
Right now for DWI.
And what is happening with that parole case? Because if and I'm not saying I'm giving you probation. But if I were, you're gonna be in limbo because you have your parole here now. I don't know if they're gonna revoke your parole or not.
I've communicated with the parole officer and they're waiting to see what happens here. And they have to met with you, correct?
Yes.
And did they give any indication what they would do?
You did send me to safety or program.
See, here's the other issue the court has. I've got parole hearings. And I've done defense work, I've done work as a prosecutor, and I know that when people are on parole, if you say you have an issue, they will give you help. And actually, I find parole to be, for want of a better term, I find it easier to complete than probation. Because parole, usually they'll see you about once a month. They only really get involved if something goes haywire, for example, you pick up a new case. But what I do know is, I do know they give you treatment if you ask for it. Now, your problem is your history is the purchase, right? If your history were a credit report, you wouldn't even be able to get a loan for a sticker job. That's just how bad your history is. And I do understand, I've read everything, I do see that you have the mental health issues, you have the drug issues, you have all of these other issues going on. I do think that if we don't settle these issues, we're gonna be right back there. Because I state my concern with it. And I don't know how this happens, and I read everything. My concern is his use of heroin and alcohol started at 13 years old, 14 years old. And when you're starting with heroin at 13 and 14, that's a hard habit to break. And I do consider people's criminal history when I'm making this decision on whether or not to give them probation or not. But I also, we look at each case individually, and I see that this case is a tampering with evidence. And I'm assuming that tampering with evidence is him eating drugs.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is, I'm gonna give you a choice. I'm gonna take a chance on it because of the mental health issue and because it's a drug issue. And I see your drug history and your drug use. Either you're gonna end up dead or either you're gonna end up committing more crime, because I have cocaine use that's daily, amphetamines daily, cannabis daily, mushrooms daily, acid once a week, alcohol all day and daily, heroin twice a week. That's a recipe for disaster. That combined with your mental health issues. So here's your choice, and you can speak to your attorney about this. I can give you probation. It's gonna be a long probation. You're not gonna be getting out anytime soon because you're going straight to safety special needs. And what I can tell you is safety special needs is not going to accept you as long as this parole hearing is pending and you have a hold. So you're gonna be sitting at the Bexar County Jail. Or I see what the state is requesting of you as far as time. They're asking for 12 years, or you can do 6 years prison. And I'll run it concurrent with whatever parole revocation you may get. But I cannot force parole to run this concurrently if they decide to revoke. So, probation in my court is not easy, and it's not gonna be easy. So if you truly do not want it, maybe you should just do the 6 years, do your time, get treatment on your own, because there are plenty of places for you to have treatment. And what I can tell you is, I'm not gonna allow you to be living with your mom. So while you're on probation in this court, you're not gonna be living with your mom. The last thing she needs is her troubled son with your issues coming to her doorstep. And I don't know what led to you as a 13 and 14-year-old using heroin and cocaine. I don't know if your mom had something to do with that or not. But I do know that you're 55 and it's time to stop blaming other people for your actions. So if you want to speak to your attorney about whether you want 6 years of prison or whether you want a long probation, but in either way, you're not going to be released.
I'll take the 6 years.
So there we go. So don't ever come before another judge saying that you were not given a chance at proof. You understand?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. All right, and sentence you to 6 years in the prison. Give you credit for any time served. Take into consideration county court cost number 6828820. There's a $500 fine, time and money to run concurrent. And do you have a parole case number?
Your Honor, I don't have it with me. It may be on the.
Which case are you said you're on parole for the DWI?
That
Yes,
2018 DWI.
Is it the 2011?
Yes, actually, it was the 2011. I'm surprised about that. I could have sworn it was the 2018.
All right, this is the right concur with parole clause number and 2011 CR 4136W. Is there anything else with regards to sentencing?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, Mr. Alejandro, I'm sure you was entitled trial court certification of defendant's rights to appeal. Could you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, thank you. Because this is a plea bargaining agreement, because I followed your plea bargaining agreement, because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition, you can speak to the attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Alejandro, they do have the therapeutic community. I can't force them to accept you, but I can place it on here and maybe they'll consider you for it. If at the jail with your history, the money museum trustee, you may have a chance at being placed in the therapeutic community. Would you like that recommended?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we'll also recommend the therapeutic community. All right, we can go off the record, Mr. Alejandro. You have to decide what you want to do with your life. You can see your mom that was having health issues. I will tell you right now, the combination of drugs that you are doing, not going to end well. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And your body, I'm sure your organs are just like, why does this guy keep, doing this to me? So you're going to have to do better.
Yes, ma'am.
And as I tell everybody, the people who are making these drugs, they don't care about this. If they're not FDA approved, anything to be placed in those drugs that you not know about, you end up dying. And if you love your mother, which it appears that you do, I would hope that you would want to visit her with your death because you're using drugs.
Your Honor, I have to let everything go, start a new life and get out. I'm getting older and I'm going nowhere like this.
Well, when you get out, the first thing you need to do is you need like you're reading every single day. Because a lot of people, when they get out, they want to celebrate, right?
Yes.
And you want to go back to old places, old things, you couldn't do that. If you end up doing that, what will end up happening is you're gonna fall back to this pattern and you may have a new charge. And the next time you come before a judge, it may not be me, it may not be this prosecutor, it may not be this attorney, and you will be a habitual, and your minimum will be 25 years prison. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alejandro.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, counsel, April Rodriguez, you have a.
All the numbers I had, Your Honor, no answer.
What I'm gonna do then, I'm gonna issue judges form and we'll go.
For the record, Your Honor, I did talk with her on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, told her the exact time of 9 o'clock this morning, 187 to be here. She said she would be here.
All right, thank you. And the issue is, of course, you know, the issue is.
Not reporting.
All right,
Exactly. Your Honor.
thank
Well,
you.
thank you, Your Honor. If she shows up, I'll still be in the building.
Okay, thank you. Hello, Mr. Ochoa.
Yes, ma'am.
Jody Ochoa. All right, Mr. Ochoa,
Yes, ma'am.
right, your attorney is Kendall. Have you been able to get in touch with him?
Excuse me, ma'am?
Your attorney is Kenton Longacre. Have you been able to get in touch with him?
No, ma'am.
You know what, I didn't send me the Zoom link just.
All right, you need to do it now. All right, we're gonna see if he's gonna zoom in, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm gonna put you back in the waiting room, but I'll bring you back in no later than 10:30, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
But can you send it? Can you send it to someone? Yeah.
Jackson.
All right, Christopher Garza.
Yeah.
And where are we on this case?
Judge, we were set for trial this week. The case was not reached, so we're just looking for a reset at this time.
All right, state, how long are you expecting, because this plea deadline date was November 29th. Now, are you rejecting, Mr. Garza?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you're requesting a jury trial?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, your plea deadline date has expired, so what that means is that the court will not accept any plea bargain agreements in this case. Document cause, otherwise you have to deal with this court, do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
State, how long are you expecting this trial to last?
A few days. I mean, we should be able to get it done the week that it's set.
Are there any videos?
No, none that should come in.
Okay.
I know, PTSD.
I always have to ask that question, Brad. All right, Ms. Ferguson, I need a jury trial date for Mr. Garza.
Judge, I will say that the defense does have a few witnesses that they would be presenting, though the jury is still missing and that of the sentencing. I don't know how that would play into the projected time frames for.
Come back on January 9th. All right, January 9th is your jury trial date. You will be dressed for trial in whatever clothing you have at the jail. If there's an issue with your clothing, you wish for it to be exchanged, you'll have to sign an exchange with your attorney. If there are any issues with clothing exchange, then the court knows, we'll see when we have it. All right, is there anything else?
Nothing from the state.
All right, I need a discovery acknowledgement. Before you all.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thanks. Oh, okay.
This way, Aaron. Talk to him.
Jackson.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning, how are you doing?
Very good. You want him up here? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Please make me aware.
I just wanted to make sure. I didn't have that one.
All right, Mr. Jackson, my understanding is that you were in the jury trial, correct?
Judge,
Okay, everybody speak up.
he does have a pending case which hasn't been filed yet.
Right, Your Honor, it's a family violence case that's awaiting indictment. The ADA that has the file is going to be out until the 8th. I was about to email them, but they have an outgoing message.
Is my evidentiary acting up?
No, that was me, Your Honor. Sorry about that. No,
Daniel Stelzig.
sorry, just took a look at the file. It's a family violence case that hasn't been indicted. It appears that the ADA who's going to sign the case is out until the 8th. They had an outgoing message when I tried to email them.
I'm like, you already got Marcus who's still talking. We can't have another one.
I know.
All right, what is the-
speak to softly, please, Judge.
Yes, you do. I mean,
It's Friday.
and you have the same tie on. All right, let me ask you this. What is the family violence case?
It's an assault choking.
Okay, so this one is a higher level than that family violence case, but this train is gonna keep running on this case.
Okay.
So, Ms. Ferguson, I need jury trial date for Mr. Jackson. How long are you expecting this to take?
Maybe 2 or 3 days, and that's me being kind of that's me giving a little bit more time.
Are there any videos?
About 2 or 3.
How long are they?
They're body cam videos just of the actual interaction between the officers and the defendant.
How long are they?
I know one's about an hour, but we wouldn't show all of it.
So, okay, well, I had an extra day for videos. All right, Ms. Ferguson, I need a jury trial date for Mr. Jackson. Judge, I can do that on February 13th. All right, your jury trial date is gonna be February 13th. You'll need to be here at 9. All right, first we'll give you receipt.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, well,
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you.
okay, I'm gonna do my best. Oh, and state in defense on this case, I need the acknowledgement of the story.
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge, I think it's already been filed.
If not, we can do another one.
You're right, it has. Is there any updates?
I don't believe so. I'm aware.
Well, not that I'm aware of. They haven't told me that it's something else.
That's okay. All right, who's here on Jose Munoz Monero?
I am yet again, Judge.
All right, and where is Mr. Munoz Monero?
We have a translator present as well.
Okay, awesome.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. So, Mr. Mauer, how was Lee County?
Charming, Judge. As long as you're not the one that's defrauded an elderly person, they treat you pretty nice.
All right, so the last time we were here, the state was to review defense's evidence.
Some of that has been done. Apparently Marcus is going to meet with the complainant. I will not use the word victim, complainant on this case next week. And so we'll know from there if it's going to be a problem. It should not be for justice to go.
Okay. All right, and state?
That's correct, Judge. I checked in with Marcus today. He says he's reviewed the video that defense attorney wanted him to watch. He needs to re-review it again, according to Mr. Mauer. And then he has a meeting next week to meet with the victim on this case.
He reviewed one, but not the other. Anyway, it's hard for me to hold my tongue, you know that.
So he's doing that next week. So
That's my understanding is the meeting with the complainant is next week, Your Honor.
What I'd like to do, Judge, is this gentleman has come back repeatedly. If we could get, I don't mind coming back and talking to Marcus. I just sort of make him come down here every single time at his age. Until Marcus makes a decision. If I'm gonna have to come in on a trial, I'll set it for trial, but we've come back here several times and the work has not been done.
how old is your client?
77.
All right, oh, he's 77 years young.
Yes. I'm almost 60 years young, but I'm not feeling young.
He's only been here 4 times,
We've been here more than that, Judge, I believe.
unless it's for the pre-indictment. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this in December. Ms. Ferguson, oh, we're already in December. Wow, time is moving quickly. All right, Ms. Ferguson, this is what we're gonna do. Set this at the beginning of January, the second week in January, and your client will need to be here, and you and Mr. Sanders can confer off documents.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Judge.
January what? All right, so we'll be back on January 12th.
Will do. Thank you, Judge.
All right, is there anything else, Mr. Munoz Monero?
No.
All right, thank you. Thank you for coming down. I think they're trying to burn us out of here. It is beyond hot. Thank you. Yes.
Just another plea that they.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
There's another plea for with an interpreter. Yeah. I'm ready whenever you.
I need to write something extra. I thought I just. Oh, Robert Mauer, I forgot to ask you, with regards to your client, have the immigration issues been addressed?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Kendall Blunt. All right, hello, how's it going? How's our daughter? I say our daughter.
She's doing well. We just got her new to her car, not a new car, but a new car for her.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, you always need the first car to get your dents out, you know? All right, so I know you all were recently appointed. I have October, so what are we doing here?
We had trouble getting the discovery off the e-discovery, so the state did put it on a hard drive for me yesterday that I provided them, so we picked it up yesterday. They've given us an offer, and my client would like me to review this discovery and then advise him about the offer, and the state's agreed to keep the offer open one setting. So it doesn't have to be a super long setting, but I'd like to review the discovery before I advise him if it's a big deal.
Okay, all right, Mr. Blunt, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna set you in the beginning of January. That's gonna be your plea deadline date. If you decide not to accept the plea, then it's gonna be a quick turnaround for jury trial because this has been on the docket for a while. All right, Ms. Ferguson, I need a plea deadline date in January, please. Yes, the second week.
January 12th.
All right, January 12th.
January 12th. I may be in jury trial out of county, but my partner will come answer to the court because I'll meet with Mr. Blunt.
All right, is that Carl Alexander who's behind you?
Most likely.
Okay, all right. We'll be back on January 12th then.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
He just had a.
Yep.
All right, after I take up Chance Stelzig, then we're going to take up the case involving the interpreter. So who's here on Chance Stelzig?
Awesome.
Oh, that's
And
you.
Carl, we're both on this actually.
All right, so I have that he had a plea deadline date on November 29th. All the discovery has been received.
Discovery has not been received.
It has not?
No,
Okay.
Your Honor. And I've been waiting on this discovery for almost 3 years, Judge.
What? I mean,
Well, the issue is there is an investigation between around it's Border Patrol and several other jurisdictions were investigating the decedent
Mhm.
and one of their witnesses who we believe is the actual murderer. It is exculpatory, and all I've been given is a 2-page police report. There's reference to interviews that were done. These people were let go without any kind of arrest after a 60-mile high-speed pursuit. That's fishy. I want to know what happened. I think we're entitled to it, and I need the state to turn it over. We've had no luck getting it ourselves. Our investigator who was appointed can't get it. The state has it in their possession because the 81st district has it, as well as Border Patrol. That's all government. I need.
So that's the 81st district.
That's where the state charges were filed. Homeland Security also was looking at charges. It was human smuggling, and it's one of the reasons that came up why this man may have been killed that has nothing to do with my client. So it's clearly exculpatory, and we need to be able to review it. I
Okay,
know
so
the case has
here's,
changed hands, so that may be why we've had some trouble, but he's been in jail a long time, Judge.
okay, and of course, when you said 3 years, I was like, no, there's no way a case would be in the 187 for 3 years. Then I see that it was transferred
Yes.
from another court.
Yes, that's
So-
part of the issue. And I know Mr. Groomer is out sick today.
Mhm.
I did email him and he's been out and hasn't been able to email me back. I just really want a deadline for when they're going to give me this stuff, because maybe that will force them to.
No, we're going to take care of this right now. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to set this in late January. In late January state, whatever evidence that the defense is requesting, if it's not available, then people need to be subpoenaed for a hearing. So subpoena whomever that needs to be subpoenaed, get them here, and we'll see what they have.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, Ms. Ferguson? Yes. Let me see. You know what? Let me look at the calendar.
For the 30th. Have a out of county jury thing. Yeah.
All right, and the 31st is usually our jury trial settings. Let's do this.
If we did the 27th and resolved it, we could have our jury trial the 31st. That would be nice. I don't want him to wait anymore.
Well, my only concern is I'd like to set it where everybody's getting things done. And as you know, Martin Luther King holiday. Then it's the Christmas holidays, and I understand that you're in custody. The 3 years is not from this court, it's from another court. And I want to give people a chance to talk to people, subpoena people. And as you say, it's not these prosecutors, it's the other prosecutors. So actually, I said the end of January, we may have to do the beginning of February because there should be no excuses. Because even with the holiday, that will still give the week of January 9th, the week of January 23rd, and the week of the 30th. So if we set it, Norma, the second week in February for discovery, do we have a place for it on that day?
Yes, I can do. Second week of February?
Yeah, can we do it on the 10th? Is that possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Is everybody available for February 10th?
I'll be here.
Yeah, I know you'll be here. All right, so here's the thing, and this is what everyone needs to understand. On February 10th, we're not going to come here to say, well, I'm still waiting for them to give me this or that. On February 10th, that's the day, if you all haven't received the discovery, that witnesses need to be subpoenaed for a hearing that's going to happen on February 10th. Now, it says the 81st district. Where's the 81st court? Which?
It's somewhere south, Judge. The high-speed chase happened all the way from LaSalle County up into Frio County, and it's.
All right, is there going to be any objection? And this is just me trying to make sure it's done. Is there going to be any objections if people have to appear by Zoom?
No.
All right, so if you can get the witnesses by Zoom, we'll have it by Zoom. But February 10th, that's when everybody needs to be subpoenaed. Otherwise, this train is going to move to jury trial and things may end up being excluded potentially.
Understood, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so we'll come back on February 10th. And that will be at 9 a.m. And on February 10th at 9 a.m., I'll need everybody to be here at 9 a.m. because I'm sure we'll probably have a jury trial that will be starting in the afternoon. All right, is there anything else? All right, so Norma, put that for discovery on February 10th. And state and everybody, if you all need a Zoom link, just let the court know beforehand for witnesses and we'll give that to you.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right. Santos, Adalberto, Serrano, Paula. All right, Norma.
Sorry.
can you Tell Meredith not to lose. Ochoa. Mhm. So just give me a moment. All right, so what is happening with this case?
Judge, it's set for sentencing today. We had previously reset it for sentencing because the victim wanted to do a victim impact statement. However, they've subsequently changed their mind. So it's really just a sentencing today.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to go on the record. Could everyone please be quiet in the box? Court is calling 2021 CR 2719, State of Texas versus Santos, Adalberto, Serrano, Paula, could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Michael Villarreal for the state.
Defense?
Ernesto Flores.
And are you Mr. Serrano, Paula?
Yes.
All right, we have an interpreter present. Could you raise your hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear affirm the test, I'm sorry, do you solemnly swear and affirm you will faithfully translate from English into Spanish and Spanish into English, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand. If you could state your name for the record, please.
Arlene Abrams, license number 2081.
All right, we are here for a sentencing. According to the plea bargain agreement, the state is proceeding on count 4 only. And the punishment is to be assessed at 10 years in the prison. And there's a $0 fine and there is registration. Is there anything from either party before the court pronounces sentence? State,
Nothing from the state.
defense?
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Serrano Paulo, is there anything you wish to say?
No.
All right, then, as previously stated, the court previously found you guilty. The court will sentence you to 10 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. Do you have a pen? Ink just died. Thank you. All right, there's to be chapter 62 registration. And there's to be no contact with the complainant. Is there anything else from either side with regards to sentencing? State,
No, Your Honor.
defense?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Paulo, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? And did you understand it? And did you sign it?
Yes.
And counsel, the document is in English. Were you able to review that document with your client in Spanish?
Lead counsel on the case did, Your Honor.
All right, are you the lead counsel?
I am not. Mr. Albert Gutierrez is the lead counsel. We asked the court coordinator if it was okay if we substitute due to some personal conflicts with Mr. Gutierrez today.
All right, and Mr. Serrano Paulo, do you have any objection to this attorney standing in for Mr. Gutierrez?
No.
And did the document entitled Trial Court Certification, did you review that in your native language with Mr. Gutierrez?
Yes.
All right, and the court will note for the record that the court is aware that Mr. Gutierrez is a fluent speaker of Spanish. Is that correct, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then, Mr. Paulo, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes.
And because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, good luck to you. Thank you. Norma is, oh, you're excused.
May I be excused?
Yes,
Your
thank you.
Honor.
Good seeing you.
Good meeting you.
All right.
Maybe it's Your Honor. I
Yes.
believe that's it, right?
Yes, thank you. Is Meredith here? All right, and see if she can Zoom. All right, thank you.
Got my phone. I can get on.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you. All right, who's here on Joseph and Zedula? Is there an attorney on that one? All right, thank you. All right, hello, Sergio. Good morning. So what is happening with this case?
I provided an affidavit to Marcus yesterday. He was sent yesterday, Your Honor, and so he needs to look into that for 2 weeks. And I guess.
Okay, why is everybody whispering? Is it me?
Sorry, I can speak into the microphone.
Okay, no, just speak up.
My understanding is that he's gonna look
Yes.
into what the information that was in the affidavit and then provide an offer. We don't yet have one. I don't know. I think we're at a second setting on this one, Your Honor, but my understanding is that once he has a chance to look into those things, he will send me an offer. We'll decide what we're gonna do from there. So if there's a date that the court would like us to come back for that.
Okay, and Ms. Ferguson, when is Marcus leaving?
On the 13th.
The 13th? All right, so we're gonna come back. Norma, can this be brought back on December 9th? All right, we'll be back on December 9th, and Ms. Ferguson will give you a reset form.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, who is here on Antoinette Garnica?
John Young, Your Honor.
All right, are you all ready?
We are ready.
All right, the court is calling 2020 CR 0679, State of Texas versus Antoinette Garnica. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state
Laura Metzel for the state.
defense?
John Young.
And are you Miss Garnica?
Yes.
I'm going to show you two documents. The first is entitled Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision, and First Amendment Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you, sorry, just one moment off the record. All right, Ms. Sanders.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, how are you associated with the case of Ochoa?
We have a ministry in Corpus Christi, Victor Gospel Chapel. Pastor Rodney Sanders and I, we take men and women off the streets that are bound on drugs and alcohol, free of charge,
Right.
anywhere from 6 months to a year. Mr. Ochoa has been in our ministry since December 12th of 2020.
All right, so Ms. Sanders, this is what I'm going to do. Mr. Ochoa, new attorney has been appointed to represent you.
Okay.
And do you have any objections with her representing you, Mr. Ochoa?
No, ma'am.
All right, so her name is Meredith Chacon. I'm going to send her to a breakout room with you. Ms. Chacon, I'm going to make you a co-host. So you'll be able to go to the room with Ms. Sanders as well as you, if you need to. So Mr. Ochoa, I'm going to send you to breakout room number 1. Ms. Sanders, I'm going to send you to breakout room number 2. And Ms. Chacon, you should be able to move throughout the breakout rooms.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you, Judge.
We're back on the record. Ms. Garnica, did you review those documents with your attorney? Did you understand them?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you the same Antoinette Brianna Garnica who was placed on deferred adjudication in 2020 CR 0679 for the offense of assault on July 23rd, 2021 for a period? Yes, this is incorrect. I'm sorry.
We have amended it.
Yes, it's the amended one. Yes. All right. Are you the same Antoinette Brianna Garnica who was placed on deferred adjudication in 2020 CR 0679 for the offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon on July 23rd, 2021 for a period of 6 years? Is that you?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, state.
Violated condition number 1, on or about the 17th day of October 2022 in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant Antoinette Brianna Garnica committed the offense of possession with intent to deliver controlled substance PG 1 gram to 4 grams in violation of condition number 1.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
True. Violated condition number 1, on or about the 17th day of October 2022 in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant Antoinette Brianna Garnica committed the offense of possession of controlled substance PG 3 less than 28 grams in violation of condition number 1.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
True. And we'll waive the remaining violations, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor. And for the record, we are waiving the 10-day period.
All right, thank you, Mr. Young. All right, Ms. Garnica, did you understand by pleading true to violations 1 and 1, the court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty, and sentence you up to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine?
Yes, Your Honor.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violations of conditions 1 and 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
The court will find violation of conditions 1 and 1 true. Is there an agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, there is. For revocation and adjudication, sentence search for a period of 2 years in Texas Department of Corrections, an affirmative finding a deadly weapon. And as part of this agreement, we will be TICing 2 night mag cases, night mag 683-511 and night mag case 683-510.
Is that the agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Garnica, are you asking the court to follow that agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you waiving your right to appeal?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you do understand that your attorney has 10 days to prepare for you to answer to the charges or the allegations that were made. Did you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you waiving that and wishing to continue?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, the court will find the allegations true. The court will grant the motion, find you guilty, sentence you to 2 years in the prison. There's an affirmative finding of deadly weapon. Taking consideration night mag number 683-511, 683-510. And there's to be no contact with Sarah Ashley Brown. And the court will give you credit for any time served. Is there anything else with regards to sentencing from either side?
Lucy has 176 days present on this case.
Okay. Ms. Garnica, I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, Your Honor. I did.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
And because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we can go off the record. What are you planning on doing with the rest of your life?
I plan on furthering my education as far as a trade and possibly owning a business if I could.
All right, so here's the thing. You're off to a bad start in life, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to have to make a decision and an honest decision with yourself on what you want to do with the rest of your life, because otherwise you're going to find yourself in and out of the Bexar County Jail, in and out of prison. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. You too.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. All right, who's here on Tyrone Lard?
I am, Your Honor, Eddie Brother, Mr. Lard, should he come forward, Your Honor?
Okay,
Or should he come forward?
yes.
Oh. Sometimes I approach and people
Yes.
don't want me to.
All right, and you're on this side and he's in the middle. All right, Mr. Lard, why were you late today? Okay, so here's the thing. You got to make an allotment for that. All right? You understand? All right, so what are we doing with this case?
Judge, Mr. Brewer has made an offer. I do think it was a reasonable offer. I might be able to get it a little better. He's not here today. Conferred with the state, but she's not as familiar with the case and understandably she doesn't do anything, but he doesn't want the offer that Mr. Brewer currently has on the table. I don't know if we need to come back to trial on Monday, what the court wants to do, but that is the situation.
All right. Ms. Ferguson, can I have a jury trial date for Mr. Lard in January, please? And you've received all the discovery?
I have.
Okay.
Besides the normal grumbling about my life, I have no complaints. about it.
Okay. How can you have complaints? You have a beautiful family.
I do have a beautiful family and that beautiful son was up at 2 and 4 and 5:30. And I do love him, but I love him less when he's up at 2, 4 and 5:30.
He's bringing you joy on a daily basis. And you know what? At least you know where he is at 2, 4, and 5.
Yeah, 5:30.
5:30, yeah.
But yes, that is true. I do look at the positive side. I look at less of the positive side of 2 and 4. 5:30, sometimes the hope of the day is there.
Well, my understanding, as you get older, you will be up at 2, 4, and 5, and you may need him to care for you.
That's a fair observation.
All right. Which
Oh, I'm
day?
sorry.
All right. So January 9th is going to be your plea deadline date and your jury trial date. So if you decide to enter a plea, the court will accept the plea on that day. You understand? Otherwise, you'll be going to jury trial. All right. Do you have any questions about anything? All right. On this case, I'll need an acknowledgement of discovery. I don't have it in the file. All right. All right. Thank you. Good seeing you.
Thank you.
You too.
I guess I could.
Hello. Hi.
Mr. Ochoa's still on the Zoom, but I told him I was gonna come back and talk to you in person.
Yes.
We have a deal worked out. I don't know if you do Zoom, please, or if we could set it that
Yes.
way. He's in an inpatient place, so I'd like him to do it by Zoom. They're gonna reduce. So we
Okay.
can take the
Yes,
plea
we
away.
we can do it by Zoom.
Do you wanna do it the way we do with Adobe sign and everything?
Well, I mean, it'd have to be because he's on Zoom, so we'll need his email
Yeah,
address.
we'll need to, do we need to reset it to a day to do the paperwork, or do you want to do it today?
You all can do it today if you want to do it today.
Okay, I can get back on the Zoom and get his email address and give you mine. Okay, all right.
I think.
I told him I'd log back in.
All right, thank you. And so, Mr. Ochoa, I'll put you back in a breakout room and your attorney will meet you there.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right, thank you. God bless you too. So if you go to 3, your attorney will meet you there. All right, who's here on? All right, I'm going to take up Jonathan Rodriguez. Then after that, I'll take up Christopher Reyes, which is my understanding off docket.
I'm here on Rodriguez.
Thank you. All right, the court is calling 2019 CR 6589, State of Texas versus Jonathan Rodriguez. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Michael Villarreal for the state.
Defense?
Adrian Pettis for the defendant.
And are you Mr. Rodriguez? Defense, I'm showing you the discovery acknowledgement. Have you received all the discovery in this case and did you review it with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Rodriguez, I'm showing you what's entitled application for deferred adjudication. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it? Next, I'm showing you what's entitled true bill of indictment. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
No, Your Honor, state proceeding solely on count 7, which is the indecency with a child by contact, and waiving and abandoning counts 1 through 6.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Rodriguez, I'm showing you what's entitled court admonishments and defendants waivers and affidavit of admonitions. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, fine.
Did you understand in count 7, you're charged with indecency with a child by contact? That's a 2nd-degree felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand? If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea bargain agreement. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea bargain agreement and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you, and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand? Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call, and the right to remain silent? Did you understand that by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights? And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea bargain agreement in this case? Did you understand if the court were to grant your application for deferred adjudication, if for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty and sentence you up to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine? Did you understand?
Yes,
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Rodriguez, has anyone threatened you, forced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, Your Honor.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea? Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Showing you the plea bargain page. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? According to the plea bargain agreement, the state is proceeding on count 7. They're asking that your punishment be assessed at a cap of 15 years in the prison. They're opposing your applications. There should be no contact with the complainant in Chapter 62 registration. Did you understand that to be the plea? Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
State?
Yes, Your Honor.
Next, I'm showing you the paragraph entitled waiver of appeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it in both places? Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand? Counsel, are there any such motions?
No, Your Honor.
Then to the offense in count 7, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? State any evidence.
Yes, sir. At this time, state offers states exhibit number 1 and its attachments.
No objections.
All right, Mr. Rodriguez, I'm showing you what's entitled waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent? Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand? Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. The court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments. The court has reviewed the same. The court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The court will defer finding of guilt as you apply for deferred adjudication. Probation, I'm gonna need a PSI report and TAP evaluation. We'll come back on January 10th at 9 a.m. At that time, I'll make a decision on your application. It will be based upon the PSI report I received and any other evidence that's presented to me. Do you understand? All right, is there anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you too. All right, who is here on Christopher Reyes? All right, Mr. Bach. Have you conferred with the state?
I have.
Do they have any objections?
They do not.
Okay.
Your Honor, we're gonna leave it up to your discretion. I did see in the notes that there have been a prior incident with the GPS scanners. Want to make sure you were aware.
Okay, so has he been allowed to work before? Because I sort of remember this.
My understanding was that the prior one.
Was he allowed to work
I
before?
believe it was part of it.
I believe he was. This is a different job. He's got a new job now with a whole new set of people. Okay.
I'll ask them.
He kind of needs to clean the slate, if you will.
Okay. All right, the only issue I have is the Thursday, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. What type of work is he
He's a
doing?
welder.
Okay,
Metal, he owns, he's a welder. He had owned a company. Now he's going to work for that company.
okay. And do you have documentation?
Not on me.
Have you seen the document?
Yes, I have,
Okay,
from his employer.
all right. I'll allow him to work.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right, and we'll see, state, we'll see how he's doing because he's due back on December 13th anyway.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. All right, everyone, we're starting a jury trial at 11. So by 10:45, everybody's going to be out of that box.
Let's start getting everything out.
All right, thank you.
Are things gonna be like set, or we just, he wants to hang out to see if we can.
See if we can resolve things.
No, I was saying after the 11. You want to
Yes.
say, okay,
Yes.
we'll make sure.
All right, thank you. Is this for a bond?
No, Judge, you've already set the bond.
Okay.
So he is, this is the one you set bond a couple weeks ago, the client who's in Colorado. He also has a case out of Wilson County set on the 12th of December. This one's set this Monday.
Mhm.
I'm trying to put these two together, so we have like one trip for both cases.
Oh, and what is the other case?
The other case is an evading arrest vehicle that was an MTR out of the same MTR.
And that's in this court as well?
No, Wilson County. He's got Wilson County MTR and District Court and New York MTR.
So what are you requesting?
I'm requesting we're set for your MTR this Monday.
Mhm.
I'm trying to make it one plane trip for him, as opposed to two, 5th and the 12th. So I'm trying to reset your case 1 week.
Mhm.
Have him come in.
All right, and so what is he coming here first, then going to Wilson County?
We can do that. Yes, he may not be leaving the courtroom. so
Yes.
One way or the other, but he is set on, just to make sure it's exactly a week later, the 12th in Wilson County.
Have you conferred with the state on what they want to do with this?
A little bit. We're talking inpatient rehab at a minimum. That's what they're saying in Wilson, but I haven't completed conferring here.
Okay. All right, Norma, can you move this to the 12th? It's off docket, this one.
And he's taking a drug test today, and I'm gonna be conferring next week when I results on the stuff. And kind of try to-
Okay.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay. All right, thanks. All right, Ms. Ferguson.
She was sitting in the back.
Nona, can you see where Bob Behrens is?
The same things, yeah. Yeah, causing this one. You're making the job. Yes.
Did I see the VR report on Sonia Hunt? Sonia Hunt? All right, that one's. Bryce Clark. All right, what is happening with this case? Good morning.
So there's two cases. I was dealing with state on the ABI, the security guard,
Mhm.
and we were under the impression there was a motion dismissed by the state on the second felony, which there was not. So that has hampered our efforts to reach an agreement on the first case. The assault family second was indicted yesterday.
Okay.
We have not done anything with that recently.
All right, and are you on the assault family sec? All right, and you're on this case as well?
Yes.
All right. Okay, all right, Ms. Ferguson. On this case, can you set it for the beginning of January? Is that a good date for you, counsel?
It will be, yes. Yes.
All right, so we're gonna come back on January 10th. By then, your counsel should have access to any discovery related to the other case.
Oh my God, it's like over 300 right now.
On the original felony, the ABI, the security guard,
Mhm.
there was a remand, client missed court one morning because he had been arrested on the second offense. And so I believe the court remanded him and we were just asked to get a bond reset in that case.
All right, if you have documentation that he was actually in custody, then what will happen if we'll have to have a hearing on that based upon the new rules.
Right.
So just ask Ms. Ferguson for a hearing date and we'll set that, and we can set that December.
Okay, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yes, we got this.
All right, could I see the file on Caitlin Martinez?
All right. I'll do this. I'll be back.
All right, Norma, have you had any update on Miss Caitlin Martinez or her attorney Judy Wimmert? All right, come forward. Ms. Martinez, if you can't find a ride to court, that means you need to take the VIA bus. Don't be too proud to take the VIA bus. I've taken the VIA bus, and you know what? Transportation, I don't care if it's the Marbach, the Rolls Royce, or the hatchback that used to be a fire hazard. Transportation is designed to get you from point A to point B. That's it. People who want the bells and whistles, they can have the bells and whistles, but your goal is to get from point A to point B. If you're late for court again, what's going to end up happening is we may make sure that you're on time. And you know how to make sure people are on time for court?
Yes, ma'am.
So you'll be brought over in blue or red or whatever color they classify you as. We will make sure we get you here on time. Do you want that to happen? All right. So on this case, I need a jury trial date setting. All right, your jury trial date and your plea deadline date is going to be January 17th. After that, the court will not accept any plea bargaining agreements in this case without good cause. Otherwise, you'll have to plea open to the court. Do you understand? And you need to be here on that date at 9 a.m. Do you understand? All right, if you give her a reset form, please. All right, on Donald Davis, Ms. Ferguson, can I have a 2-week reset? Actually, Ms. Ferguson, this is the first setting. Put it in January. All right, Deputy Laura, can you let Mr. Davis know that his attorney is out with surgery? So we're going to bring him back on January 10th. And let him know that if his attorney is better and wants him brought over sooner, we'll bring him over sooner. No. Absolutely not. No, tell Bob Behrens that the court is not feeling sympathetic for people putting this court as last on the docket. So tell him absolutely not. He needs to be here. All right, Dominic Brinkley. All right, what is happening with this case?
Judge, I filed a motion to set a bond in this case. Currently, my client is remanded without bond due to an FPA.
Mhm.
I believe it was in July, which is
Yes.
before I represented him.
All right, so we're about to start a jury trial. So I don't have time to hear the case today.
I think it'll be pretty quick, Judge. Give us a chance.
Well, I understand that, but because of the new rules, I have to look into I have to look at different systems now.
I think they printed it's in there. Is that it? Information.
Mhm. Yeah, but do you have the NCIC? That's not on here.
I have one in my file, Your Honor, if you want to review that.
Yes.
Let me pull it up.
Look, everybody's coming together to make something happen.
They want it heard.
Yes, I appreciate that.
This might not be the most.
All right, thank you. And is this on docket today?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, thank you.
It's not the most recent NCIC case, Your Honor. He does have a ag robbery case that was a CM case.
Judge, and that's not, that wasn't something that was a subsequent arrest. I believe that was from 2021 and a warrant was recently.
Yeah, we called 26.
Oh.
I can check to see when the warrant was issued. I think it's just back in August, right? Remember correctly, back.
All right, does anyone have any idea what the bond is on that matter?
And as far as I can tell, he hasn't made the bond yet on that case yet. And as far as I can tell, there's no conditions.
All right, and who set that bond? Which, is that here in Bear County?
It was here in America, yes.
All right, so we will go on the record.
Okay.
Court is calling 2022 CR 5308, State of Texas versus Dominic Michael Clark Brinkley. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Laura Metzel for the state.
For the defense?
The Daniel Levy for the defense, Your Honor.
And are you Mr. Brinkley?
Yes.
Are you Mr. Brinkley? All right, we're here for a motion to set bond. The defendant was a no-show for court in July. And I'm assuming they found you by taking you into custody.
Sure.
All right, defense, it's your motion.
Yes, Judge. My client's currently remanded without bond, Judge. I believe that we're entitled to at least have a bond set in this case. His failure to appear in July, that was before I represented him. And if we're looking at the factors, Judge, he has strong ties to the community. His family lives here. He doesn't have family anywhere outside of San Antonio. If he were to be able to bond out, Judge, he would be working for a company called Improved Piping Services, making $17 an hour. His boss did say that he would have a job waiting for him when he gets out. And so even if he were to get out, Judge, and you required a monitor, we would ask for partial house arrest so he would be able to work. I believe that even if you did put a monitor, Judge, that would ameliorate any concerns as far as safety concerns to the community, because he would be monitored. I don't think when he was out on bond previously that was his condition. And as far as ability to afford bond, Judge, I'm asking, I know that it was $75,000 before, and so the court's probably going to increase it.
It was 7,500 before.
I'm sorry, 7,500, and that's what I meant. $7,500 before. I would ask for a $10,000 bond, Judge. Like I said, my client works a job. He hasn't been making any money now, obviously, since he's been in custody, but he would be at a job making $17 an hour. He would live with his girlfriend, who currently is pregnant, and she makes $15 an hour, works at Bill Miller's, and his mother is an Uber driver. That's basically his support system, would be his girlfriend and his mother. So not a lot of ability to afford a very high bond, but I think that court could still, I guess, take into consideration the safety of the community with the GPS device, Judge. And so we would ask for that and ask you to set the bond at $10,000.
All right, and state, what are you requesting for a bond amount?
$20,000, Your Honor, with full GPS.
All right. And with regard to this case, I don't take any of this as true, but I need certain information about the facts of this case in order to make appropriate conditions. So is there any drug concerns?
Not that I'm aware of, Judge. I didn't see any mention in this case file.
Not that I recall, Your Honor.
Right.
Actually, I take that back. There was marijuana located in the vehicle.
Okay.
There was, and just to clarify, there were multiple people, so I don't think he was ever charged with that or.
All right, any past drug use, any mental health issues?
Not that I'm aware of, Judge. And nothing that I see from his history that would indicate that.
Is there anything else?
Judge, I know that he does have those other cases that you're able to see. The only other thing I would say is that those are all from 2021. As the state did clarify, that one case is very late in 2021, but it's not like a situation where he missed court and is picking up new offenses, Judge. Since he did miss court, he hasn't gotten any trouble, and I don't think that he's going to be a danger to the community. And that's the only thing I would say. He did have a pretty bad car accident in January. So he has been, for the most part, stuck at home a lot. He's been recovering from it. He broke his arm and I think his pelvis, and you can see right here on his arm, he's got a pretty bad scar where that did happen. And so that as well.
And the other thing I would add, Your Honor, is there is another night mag, unauthorized use of motor vehicle case, which we did have 2 violation reports on for not reporting, I believe.
All right, this is what the court is going to do. The court is going to set your bond at $20,000. Partial GPS, you're allowed to work upon proof of employment in a work schedule. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. There's to be no unsupervised contact with minors, and there's to be no driving.
Would we be able to waive the fees on the GPS device, Judge?
I mean, I can ask that it be waived or deferred, but they're not going to do it, but I'll put that in there.
Okay, thank you.
And Norma, I need a case setting for this Brinkley case. All right, and Deputy Laura, you can start taking them all back. Everybody else will have to come on probably an inconvenient day, but we're going to take yours up. Oh, he's in there. Yeah. All right, what date are we coming back? All right, we'll be back on December 13th.
Okay.
Israel Alonso. What is happening with this case?
The last time we were here, Judge, I was waiting for discovery, and to the best of my knowledge, I've not received any of it.
State on Israel Elizondo, the discovery issues.
Yes, Judge.
Yes, she's saying she's awaiting some discovery.
Okay, I haven't had a chance to talk to Alice today about this.
All right, you can confer with them and I'll take you up whenever we have a chance at the break. Could I see the parties on MONTEZ?
Sorry, what you said?
Parties on MONTEZ?
I think they're outside.
Asking me what?
A motion to suppress.
Who is on this? Why are people not here at 9? When I said we're starting trial at 11. It doesn't appear that he's ready to speak. So he'll have to come back during a break. So we're getting ready to start trial. They're gonna have to come back at a different time. Deputy Laura, all the jurors here? Okay. Yeah. All right, and Deputy Laura, the people in the box, you can take them back.
It's 2022 CR 9438.
Hannah, your client, is anything being worked out?
Can I, let me just, okay, so I was here Tuesday and Marcus said he needed to talk to somebody.
Okay, no, I'm just saying that because they're taking him back because we're starting a trial.
Yeah, we need more time, Judge.
Okay,
We're not
all
ready.
right.
Marcus
I'll give you a date during one of the breaks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mr. Cohn, they're swearing your client in a breakout room.
The state had no objection to that. I just wanted to give you the information on the rehab place he was at, because apparently it's free.
Yes.
It's a very good program. So
Oh,
if you
yes,
ever
no,
have
I've heard of
defendant you
this.
Want to send there, he was, I don't know, I was very moved by him. He's been in treatment a long time. So anyway, they said I could give you the letter they had sent, just to use that the resource if you ever wanted.
All right, thank you. No, I love this program.
Yeah.
All right, state on, where did they go?
Mr. Schmo's right there, Judge.
All right, can you have them come in? It's regarding this DVD.
Thanks, Mom, for getting me that already. So don't- that is really nice. You gave me the pen. No, he's giving me the- He's done.
Hello. So we're not on the record because your client is not out yet, but this DVD, here are the issues the court has with the DVD. the part where they're talking to the person who's in the back seat, it's in Spanish. So I don't know if, has there been a transcription, a certified transcription, because I can't send it back to the jury to have them interpret the Spanish.
There has not been a transcription, Judge. Miguel was the one sort of who speaks Spanish, so I don't know if we can get that done this afternoon of someone.
All right, well, I mean, so as it is now, it's gonna have to be with no sound because the jurors are not allowed to interpret the Spanish.
The portion of the conversation that's when he's in the patrol car.
No, there's a conversation where, one conversation where he's in a patrol car, but there's also the conversation with the person who's now deceased.
The complainant Gallegos.
Yes, because that's in Spanish as well. The officer is speaking to him in Spanish. And honestly, I couldn't hear his response because the sound is so bad. But I'm assuming if he's speaking to him in Spanish, then he's responding in Spanish, if he's responding at all, because a lot of that I see takes place outside the camera.
Okay.
So I don't know if you all, because otherwise this is going to have to be muted because it's in Spanish. Okay. Now, if there's some part that I missed where it wasn't in Spanish, now I will tell you, there are a couple of things that are in English, but the things that are in English is just the officer saying on Coban, I hear the name MONTEZ. That part is in English, but the aside part relating to the person who's deceased, that's in Spanish. So I don't know if you all want to.
Just to clarify, that's Gallegos because Mr. Vigil is also deceased now. So you're talking
Yes.
about Gallegos. Okay.
Yes. So if you all want to review that again, but the part that I see, it's in Spanish.
Is there interpreters with the court administration who can do that?
Yes, you can call court administration and see if they can do it, and it'll have to be, but it has to be certified. And then if they certify that, it's a matter of, if I am allowing it in, how do you want that to be tendered to the jury? Do you want it in transcribed? Or do you want an interpreter to come down? It would seem to me that it would need to be the interpreter would have to transcribe it.
Right. And I guess, third day of trial, we would have, if they get it translated, we object to the timeliness that they're doing it now.
All right, well, we'll approach that when
Sure.
when that bridge is built,
Of course. And
if
then,
that bridge is built.
And then we're down the record, right?
No, because your client's not here.
And then if Officer Ramos, the other officer was come to testify, we like to add a oral motion in limine regarding eliciting any testimony from either of those officers regarding what is on the shirt of Margarito Vigil. I don't want these officers to testify that that is blood, because then that again goes to the robbery as to the count that they dropped.
All right, so
I don't mind them showing the video. I just don't want them to say, what's on that guy's shirt? And they say blood. I think that's prejudicial and it's.
well, I will say, I think that everybody's been saying what appears to be apparent blood. I can tell you, officers and lay witnesses are allowed to describe what they are seeing. And you all can cross-examine them.
So even if, I said it with the audio, but with my officer, am I allowed to ask him what the person said? I mean, in terms of,
Well, with regards to,
without the audio?
with regards to the person who's deceased in the backseat, to the court, unless there's somebody who feels differently, the guy in the backseat who was shot in the head, that's his statement is coming in as a dying declaration. So, I mean, that's coming in as a dying declaration. Now, with regards to, and I'll just say the person who died of natural causes, I don't know how he died, but that's just for us to keep it separated.
Margarito Vigil.
Yes, Now, with regards to what he's saying, the court has some concerns about that.
And we'd ask the judge to make a
We go get-
determination of that before. I don't want to object to hearsay. I'd like the court to make a determination now as to whether that is admissible, questions as to what.
It appears that the state has some case law.
Well, Judge, I think in situations like this where there's a witness to a crime, I think what you're able to say should come in. It's not hearsay. It's not, there's no violation of the confrontation clause. And I have a case where there was a witness to a mugging. And the defense made the same objections about hearsay, about denial of right of confrontation. And when they looked at it, it essentially says that, look, when statements are made to the police officers who are responding to calls for emergency assistance, there's not a hearsay issue or a confrontation issue. And as sort of the example that they look at is, are these testimonial statements official or formal in nature? And it isn't. Is it initiated by the witness or the victim, which is less likely to be testimonial? Does it seem like it's more of a spontaneous, or it's like something they've memorized? Or are they just responding to preliminary questions to the police at the scene? And when you sort of go through these things, it's not testimonial and not hearsay.
All right, so I mean, you can read over that. We're not doing official arguments here right now because his client's not here. All right, and does Lupe have the? Where is the paperwork? Yes.
We have a few minutes to go to court.
Sure. And I'm going to need everyone to move. Thank you, Mr. Villarreal, for starting that process. Thank you. Hi. Yeah, we're starting trial.
Okay, so do we get a reset from that?
No, you have to come back during a break.
When do we have a guessy on when that will be? Could my client go back to work though?
No. All right, thank you.
Yes, paperwork on that plea that we were doing by Zoom.
Yeah. Like, why is it?
Norma didn't, she was doing this for the job. But we already got to.
Oh, thank God. It's like the second time I've ever tried doing that, so
Oh,
I'm glad it worked. And then, Judge, are we gonna take that plea during the break?
No, we're gonna do it right now if I can get the plea paperwork.
Okay. Thank you for your patience.
Sure. Thank you.
You just signed it.
Okay, well, has he been sworn in?
Yes.
All right, let's close the rooms then. Brenda, we're gonna do this plea, then we're gonna start on the other matter.
Mhm. Well, that's what happens when you first year that sick too.
And second year's out, and the other third year's out.
And I said, Laura, who doesn't know any of your cases, and she's like, oh.
But he handles it, and I appreciate, and if any of you are watching, I appreciate everything you do.
Like, why are they not out of these rooms?
But I'm saying that still. Okay.
I'm gentle.
I think someone flipped on someone and it was bad. Snitches get stitches. Anyway, so I want to know what happened at the border. Bribes your witness. So it's.
All right. Court is calling 2022 CR 8301, State of Texas versus Jody Ochoa. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state,
Daniel Escobar for the state of Texas.
for the defense?
Meredith Chacon for Mr. Ochoa, Your Honor.
And are you Mr. Ochoa?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we're proceeding by video. Any objections to us proceeding by video, state,
No, Your Honor.
defense?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Ochoa, did you review the document entitled Defendant's Consent to Appear by Video? Did you understand it? And did you electronically sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily consented to appear by video. Mr. Ochoa, your previous attorney was Mr. Kenton Longacre. He was appointed to represent you. Did you have any contact with your attorney?
One time, ma'am.
All right. Did you request to have a new attorney appointed to represent you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and that new attorney is Meredith Chacon. Do you have any objections to her representing?
No, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Chacon, you are of course entitled 10 days to prepare for trial. Do you still wish to proceed?
I do, Your Honor. I was able to view the state's file and I also talked to my client. He wanted to do this today. They've given me the discovery to review.
All right, did you review all the discovery with your client?
Yes, we did discuss.
All right, the court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Ochoa,
Yes, ma'am.
did you review the document entitled True Bill of Indictment with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
We do, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
We are, Your Honor.
Mr. Ochoa, I'm showing you what's entitled court admonishments. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you're charged with theft under $2,500 enhanced? That's a state jail felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea bargain agreement. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea bargain agreement and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes,
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
I do.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ochoa, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea bargain agreement to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. I'm showing you the plea bargain page and your counsel, the plea bargain page. Did you review that page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea bargain agreement, the state is asking that your punishment be assessed at 1 day in the Bexar County Jail under 12.44 of the Penal Code. There are no applications and there's a $0 fine. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense is at the plea.
Yes, Your Honor.
State is at the plea.
Yes, Your Honor.
Next, I'm showing you the paragraph entitled Waiver of Appeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
Not to my knowledge, Your Honor.
Then to the offenses charged, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty.
State any evidence.
Your Honor, state offers State Exhibit 1 in all attachments.
No objection, Your Honor. I went over it with my.
Mr. Ochoa, I'm showing you what's entitled Waiver and Consent to Stipulation of Testimony and Stipulations. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you
Yes, ma'am.
understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, with regards to the indictment, is there a request to amend the indictment?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, is there any objection?
No, no.
All right, so the indictment will be amended to show that the cause number for the enhancement purposes is 2019 CR 10770. Do you have any objection to the indictment being amended, Mr. Ochoa?
No, ma'am.
All right, again, your attorney has 10 days to prepare for trial. Do you still wish to go forward with that substantive change to the indictment? Do you still wish to go, wish to go forward with that change? All right, thank you. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The court will find you guilty. Are we proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Honor, I think that this is a good deal for him. He's been in this rehab facility for over a year. He started the work release portion of it. It seems like a very good program and his life seems to have turned around. So I appreciate the state giving him the 1 day.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Ochoa, the court will follow your agreement, find you guilty, sentence you to 1 day in the Bexar County Jail under 1244, give you credit for any time served, and the court will show that the judgment is satisfied.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome. I'm showing you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you. We can go off the record. Make sure you stay in that program and follow through on the rules. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. That's good, ma'am. It's been a blessing
right.
in my life. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Good luck to you, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Chappelle.
Thank you. Sorry to hold you on.
Oh, no, go ahead and pre-trial your witnesses. Okay, all right, thank you. All right, state.
Yeah, let me find co-counsel.
He went,
Okay. All right. Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, you're welcome. Have a good one. All right, I need the parties out of the jury box. The jury is coming in. Mhm. They can just continue to check in and see when we have a break. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Jury trial starts at 11. I believe everyone is informed that jury trial was starting at 11 and people chose to be where they chose to be. So just, yeah, just call in and we'll let you know when we're available. Yes.
Trying to get a hold of Mr. Yamamoto, and I can't find him, so I'm not sure where, can you make sure he's not back in the court office?
Okay.
Kendall back there was. Oh, the court ad. Okay.
Nora, can you call court admin and tell Mr. Ishimoto he's needed down here?
And just for the court's edification, if it's okay, Dr. Fied, who conducted the other autopsy, is here. We'd like to interrupt the testimony of Detective Burrows that we began yesterday. We'd like to start with Dr. Fied so we can get him in and out real quick if we can.
All right, it's up to the defense.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
There he is. He's there.
All right. All right, Brenda, you ready?
Yeah.
Court is calling 2022 CR 9260, State of Texas versus Richard Anthony Montez. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
James Shimon and John Cruz for the state.
Defense?
Orlando Gastinon. And Kelly Biddle.
And the court will note for the record that Mr. Montez is present. We are ready.
Ready?
Yes.
All right, for the jury.
Everyone, we came very close to 11. So we were working on it. Everyone, please be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, where we left off yesterday, there was a state's witness on the stand that was a detective. Without objection, the state is going to call another witness out of order. Just so you know, the direct and cross-examination with that witness has not been completed, but the state is going to call another witness out of order, okay? All right, state, call your next witness.
They call Dr. Fee. Ike. Okay.
Uh-oh, got a runner. Yeah.
All right, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. If you'll take a seat, state your name for the record and spell it.
My name is James Feig. The last name is spelled F-E-I-G.
State.
Dr. Feig, what do you do for a living?
I am employed as a medical examiner with the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office, which is a forensic pathologist that investigates deaths.
And you are a medical doctor?
That's correct.
And where did you go to school?
I graduated from the Uniform Services University in Bethesda, Maryland. in 1994.
And when you graduated in 1994, what did you do after that?
After graduation, I did an internal medicine internship here in San Antonio, and that was followed by a pathology residency also here in San Antonio. And that was followed finally by subspecialty training in forensic pathology, which was at the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office.
And what is pathology?
Pathology can generally be thought of as the study of disease and injury as it applies to the whole body, organs, and even at the cellular levels.
And how long have you been a pathologist?
Well, I was a pathologist in the military for 14 years, and now 8 years civilian.
Over the course of your career, how many autopsies do you think you've done?
Somewhere around 2,400.
And how long have you worked for, the Bexar County ME's office?
After retirement from the military, I joined the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office, and that was in August of 2014.
And working for the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office, the medical examiner, what are your duties there?
The duties of the medical examiner are to investigate deaths that are reported to the office, and that investigation typically entails a review of the circumstances that are known surrounding the death, followed by an examination of the dead body, which consists of an external examination, followed by an internal examination, and typically toxicology testing as well.
So how are bodies brought to the morgue?
Bodies are generally brought to the morgue by a contract ambulance. So if there is, for example, a traffic accident that's fatal, the medical examiner's investigator will go to the scene and take pictures, but the law enforcement owns, so to speak, the scene, while the medical examiner owns the body. So the body is then taken to our facility.
And when bodies get to your facility, what happens?
When the body arrives at our facility, a case number is generated for the investigation, and an intake or identification photograph is taken of the body, which typically will have the person's face, the deceased's face, along with the case number assigned. And then after that, an examination will proceed.
And in this particular case, in terms of 2018-0465, did you bring the records for a autopsy on a Benito Gallego?
I have with me in this folder a copy of my autopsy report. Yes.
Your Honor, if I may approach?
Yes.
Show you what's been marked as state exhibit number 338, 339, 340, 341, 342, 343, 344, 345, 346, and 347.
All right.
all for the pictures that I've shown you and for the autopsy report, are you the custodian for these exhibits?
I am.
And are these exhibits kept in the regular course of business for the Bear County Medical Examiner's Office?
Yes.
And were these records made by you?
With the exception of the intake photograph.
That would have been done by an employee of the ME's office?
Correct.
So all these things were done by employees of the Bear County Medical Examiner's Office?
Yes.
And they were done reasonably soon or at the event that it records?
Can you repeat that?
Sure. The photos and the report that you did was done reasonably soon after the autopsy?
Yes.
And these photos were done at the time of the autopsy?
Yes.
And they were done by people who had actual knowledge of what happened?
Yes.
And these are duplicates of what you have in your possession?
I do not have the photographs with me, but I do recognize them.
This time I'll tender what's marked as take exhibit 338 through 347 and offer them into evidence at this time.
No objections to the pictures, Judge?
All right, states exhibits 338 through 347 are admitted without objection.
No objections to the report.
And I'm sorry, what is the report number?
338, Judge.
All right, thank you. And that will be admitted as well.
Doctor, so when you did the autopsy, when did you do the autopsy?
Did you say when did I do it?
When was the autopsy done?
It was done on the 19th of February in 2018.
And how did the body present when you began your autopsy?
Well, I'm not sure I totally understand what you're asking, but
What's the first thing you do when you begin an autopsy?
with the bodies are contained within a body bag, so the body's wheeled into the morgue, and the body bag is opened, and at that point, the examination proceeds.
Do you begin with a general examination?
Yeah, so it may be helpful to break that down. So when I talk about an autopsy, I'm really talking about more accurately a postmortem examination. The postmortem examination consists of an external, which is sort of a physical that I give to the body. The only difference between that and going to your own doctor is that my patient is now dead, but it's sort of a head to toe examination that looks for things like what's their height, what's their weight, color of hair, facial hair, tattoos, scars, things like that. And documentation of any evidence of injury. And that is followed by an internal examination wherein I take a scalpel and open the body and look at the individual organs to see if there's evidence of disease or injury.
So when you began, did you notice any signs of medical intervention or things like that when you began your external examination?
Yes. So it may be helpful to bear in mind that Mr. Gallegos, is that how you pronounce? We had received his body after he had been hospitalized for several days, about 16 actually. So there is evidence of medical therapy.
And what evidence would that be?
Primarily, that would consist of changes to the head involving care at the hospital, wherein things like pressure monitors were placed for the patient. And I'll have to look at my notes, but there may have been things like intravenous lines. But hold on. So really not a whole lot. He did have an intravenous line going into the right arm. And he had a needle puncture mark of a prior injection site or insertion site with gauze overlying it. He had a urinary catheter in place with an attached bag to hold the urine that was produced. And in addition to that, what I already said about the changes of the head.
And the Bexar County Medical Examiner was able to identify this person as Benito Gallegos?
That is correct.
And so other than medical intervention, what else did you notice about the external examination?
Well, the primary thing is that there is a gunshot wound to the head, to the back of the head to be specific. The gunshot wound had been closed as part of the medical intervention, but at the time of the examination, the closed wound is open so that we can more accurately assess the location and what it looks like.
When you say closed, do you mean like closed with stitches or something?
Right. I believe that the wound was actually closed with surgical staples in this case.
And in order to do your examination, what do you have to do with the staples?
Remove them.
Okay. And so in terms of the body, were there any other injuries that you could see that were significant?
There are no external injuries other than the gunshot wound.
And what can you tell me about the gunshot wound?
So the gunshot wound, as I said, is on the back of the head. It's to the right of the midline of the back of the head. And when we open the head and body, we find that there is a trajectory which goes inside of the skull and through the brain, creating a hemorrhagic wound track and also necrosis or death of the surrounding brain tissues, and also intracranial hemorrhage, which technically is called subdural and subarachnoid hemorrhage, but bleeding inside of the skull. And in addition to that, the bullet was recovered at the time of the examination. So what that actually means for us is that this is a penetrating gunshot wound. That would be the pathologist terminology, meaning that there is an entry, but there's no exit because the bullet is still in the body. That would be as opposed to a through and through gunshot wound in which there's an entry and an exit, but no bullet. And that would be termed as a perforating injury.
When you say hemorrhage, what do you mean by hemorrhage?
Hemorrhage simply means bleeding. So whenever I say hemorrhage, just translate as bleeding.
Now you said that you also found a bullet.
Yes.
And what did you do with the bullet that you found in his head?
Any bullet that is recovered at autopsy is photographed and it's put inside of a filter paper, inside of an evidence envelope. And then at that point, it is held for typically the investigating agency to submit from there to the crime lab specifically for firearms analysis.
And as part of your exam, did you find any powder tattooing or anything like that?
So the wound identified at autopsy really can best be thought of as a whole. There are indicators of range of firing, things called soot deposition and powder tattooing. Those things are not found at the examination, but I do have to give a caveat in that when I did the examination at this point, again, 2 weeks, if not more, have passed between the reported time of the incident and the death. So we would have that period of time for any healing to take place, if that makes any sense.
And this 2 week time period, Mr. Gallegos would have been in the hospital, correct?
Yes.
And how old was Mr. Gallegos at the time?
He was 69.
Your Honor, if I may approach and publish pictures.
Yes.
First show you 339.
You'd like me to discuss?
Yes.
So this is something I'd referenced to earlier as our intake or identification photograph. And I should probably digress and just say that the way our case numbers are generated to make them unique is by I can't think of the word, but before the case number itself, the year. So in this case, 2018. And that is followed by chronologically numbers 1 through however many are needed to complete the year. So that ensures that each case receives a unique number. So, and then this photograph again is going to show the deceased's face along with the assigned case number.
Now that case number is a number that only belongs to this particular autopsy, correct?
Yes.
Exhibit number 340, can you describe that?
This is a similar sort of picture. This is a picture taken by me, and it also demonstrates the case number. It's simply in a different place. This is a band around the wrist.
It's exhibit number 341. You can describe that.
So from here on out, I'm just going to say that all these pictures are taken by myself. So I'm not going to say that for everyone. But this picture is showing an overall of the body as received. And I think the main thing you can delineate from that picture is that the body is received without any clothing or personal effects.
It's exhibit number 342.
So this is a close-up of the deceased's head. And what it is showing is actually some of the medical therapy that he had received. Specifically, there is an incision that is sutured on the top of the head.
And you said these would be staples?
Those are sutures.
Sutures, I'm sorry. It's exhibit 343.
All right, so this picture shows the gunshot wound after we have removed the staples. And also, I should add that in order to see the characteristics of the wound more closely, if the wound is inside of the hairline, we will generally shave the hair around the wound.
It's exhibit 344.
This is simply a close-up of the prior close-up.
It's 345.
Okay, so in this picture, I have already removed the brain from the calvarium and then cut the brain in half. And If you are to look at this picture, it's going to correspond to the right side of the brain being on the right side of the picture and the left side of the brain being on the left side. And what it is showing is the extensive hemorrhage and necrosis or cell death of the brain.
I'm sorry, what is necrosis?
Death.
So you 46 and 47, 346 and 347.
So these photos show opposite sides of the bullet that were recovered at the examination.
Would have been the bullet that you retrieved from the head of Mr. Gallegos.
That is correct.
Let me show you what's marked as earlier state exhibit number 246. This is a sealed envelope.
Yes.
Okay. It's been sealed and can you please open the sealed envelope
Using those.
using the scissors?
That's the next one. Okay.
Inside that exhibit, do you find another envelope?
Yes, and this envelope is the one that appeared on the picture that had been shown previously. And so this envelope should contain the recovered bullet. The way I know this is produced by me is that my initials are on the label JAF.
I'm going to mark the smaller envelope that you've identified as states exhibit number 396. And this is a sealed envelope?
It is.
And can you please open it? Inside of it would be the bullet that you collected.
Yes.
And can you please show that to the jury? Just hold it. Thank you. In fact. Okay. States exhibit 396 and offered into evidence at this time.
Objections.
All right, states exhibit 396 is admitted.
So in terms of your external examination, the only injury that we found essentially was the gunshot wound to the head. Did you do an internal examination?
Yes. So, and I suppose I should add that if you have the opportunity to read through the report, it is divided into different sections. There is an external examination section. There is an internal examination section, but in order to make this easier to understand, there's a separate evidence of injury section, which combines the pertinent aspects of both external and internal examination. So in the case of a gunshot wound like this, there is going to be under the evidence of injury, a description of the gunshot wound appearance on the outside of the body, on the skin, and that will be followed by the appearance of the gunshot wound track inside of the body.
And as part of your examination, did you look at some of the, I guess, some of the organs and things like that as part of your internal examination?
Correct, yes.
And why would you do that?
We try and do complete autopsy examination, so that entails documentation not only of injuries, if injuries are present, but any natural disease. And in the process of assessing for natural disease, it requires that organs be removed, weighed, and sectioned or cut so that we can see what's going on inside of the organ.
And your examination of the organs, what did they tell you?
So first off, the examination of the brain, again, as we know, shows the hemorrhagic wound track from the gunshot wound. Beyond that, there is what I would term mild coronary disease of the coronary arteries of the heart. And there is also in the liver increased fibrosis or scarring, but not to the point of something that we would call cirrhosis. So this is mild.
So as a medical examiner, who did the autopsy, what were your findings?
So in the conclusion for the examination, the cause of death is termed as complications of a gunshot wound of the head. And the reason it's referred to as complications of just acknowledges the fact that Mr. Gallegos lived for a period of time before ultimately succumbing. And then also a manner of death is also provided as a result of the medical examiner's investigation. And in this case, but just to let you know, there's only a few choices for a pathology manner of death. And those are going to be natural, accident, suicide, or homicide. And in this case, the manner of death is homicide.
So fair to say that, sort of a rather obvious question, but for his gunshot wound, there's no other reason why he would have died.
That's correct.
Past witness.
Dr. Fied, it looks like you started the autopsy February 19th, is that correct?
That is correct.
And that was 2018, obviously, but you received or when does the morgue receive the body?
Typically, a body is received the day prior to the examination. For this particular case, I don't, remember that date specifically.
Your belief is that he was in the hospital for about 16 days?
Yes.
Okay. And so in your examination, you do a toxicology report?
Yes.
And that toxicology report, would it be the same toxicology as it would be 16 days prior?
So yeah, that's a good point. So for completeness, a toxicology examination is performed. However, you do have to interpret that, bearing in mind that 16 or so days have now passed. So whatever was in anyone's system, for the most part, 16 days ago is not going to be there 16 days later because the body does metabolize drugs and toxins away. So did I answer your question?
I believe so. And so you're aware that he was in the hospital, right?
Sorry, yes,
And in your practice, hospitals keep records, right?
yes.
And in doing so, the hospital would have likely ran a toxicology report at the time that he was admitted to the hospital.
You would think so, but I can't vouch for that. I don't know.
And so, do you use the hospital's medical records in assessing the cause of death?
When we have a case that we're investigating, we use all the tools at our disposal. So that may entail simply what our own investigator was writing down in a report when they talked to perhaps family members or involved law enforcement officers. And it may involve, in a case where there is a hospital course, looking at the medical records. So, and I do remember that I had looked at medical records for this case. However, we consider our autopsy report to be our product. And so the hospital records are not retained by the office. So once they're looked at, they are not kept.
And so you did have an opportunity to review those medical records?
Yes.
And those medical records being the hospital records?
Say that again.
Those medical records you reviewed, you had an opportunity to review the hospital records?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall whether you saw any toxicology regarding alcohol in Mr. Gallego's system?
Yeah, I apologize. I really have no recollection of any toxicology either done or not done.
Okay. And so I know in your toxicology report, you're looking for alcohol, cocaine, opiates, right?
That's correct. In addition to several other medications, even such over-the-counter things as Tylenol or ibuprofen, aspirin.
And so just because it says that there's no cocaine or cocaine metabolites in your toxicology report does not mean that there were not any present at the time that Mr. Gallegos was admitted to the hospital.
I mean, that's a fair statement. Again, this toxicology report reflects the state of his system, so to speak, at the time of death, not 2 weeks or more prior to that.
In your training, do you have any idea what the combination of alcohol and cocaine can cause an individual to have?
Well, I mean, I'm not really sure exactly what you're getting at, but ethanol can combine with alcohol to make a new product called coca-ethylene. And some people say that product can make one act sort of psychotic, or at least more erratic than any of the substances alone. Not always, that's just an association that has been made.
You are saying to us that you're not aware because you don't recall what was in that toxicology report, correct?
Correct.
But the state was in possession of those records.
I don't know.
Well, you were in possession of those records, correct?
I had, our office requests medical reports in order to assist in doing a case. But again, once the case is written, we don't keep those. And honestly, we have too many cases for me to remember specific details like that.
Understood. Now, when you perform this autopsy, you note, I guess, direction of a projectile, correct?
That's correct.
And does that direction indicate to you the way the bullet traveled?
I mean, it is a direct reflection of the way the bullet travels through the body. But the caveat there is I don't know how the body was positioned at the time that happened.
Right. So you can understand how it traveled internally, but not externally.
That's correct.
Okay. And so if somebody was shot from behind, if they were facing down, the bullet would possibly be projected upwards in the head.
Right. And I mean, especially in the head, your head can turn in a lot of different directions. So that's a, that is a point worth keeping in mind.
Pass the witness.
So essentially, 69-year-old Benito Gallegos died as a result of a gunshot wound to the head.
That is correct.
Pass witness.
I have no questions at this time, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
I would like him subject to recall, Judge.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state and the defense. Make sure you're available if you're recalled.
Understood.
All right, thank you. All right, state, who's your next witness?
We're going to recall Toby Burrows.
All right. All right, you may step down. And ladies and gentlemen, after this witness, I'll give you all your lunch break. And then I'll take up some other matters unrelated to this case. Good morning. You're still under oath.
Mr. Burrows, we're recalling you from yesterday. Just ask you a few more questions. I may approach.
Yes.
Was from Martha's Dignity Divot number 328, 329, 330, 331, 332, 333, 334, and 335. Where we left off yesterday, after you took photos and helped process 203 St. Christopher Walk, did you go to another location?
Yes, sir.
And where did you go?
Over to the public safety headquarters,
And
to our
what-
night investigative division.
And what did you do at the public safety headquarters?
May we approach?
Yes.
Mr. Burrows, when you went to the public safety headquarters, what did you do?
I took photos
And who did you take photos of?
of a gentleman that the night
Can
detective.
object to hearsay. Calls for hearsay response. information he received of
All
who the
right.
individual is.
You're not allowed to say what anyone else said, but you're allowed to state what you did.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. State.
I took photos of an individual in an interview room.
And who was that individual?
I'm gonna object to hearsay again, Judge.
All right, that'll be overruled.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Sorry.
If I may approach.
Yes.
It's Margarito Verhill.
And how did he appear when you saw him?
He was in the interview room. He had a couple injuries. And there was some red matter on his clothing.
You said he had a couple of injuries. What did you see?
They're documented in the photographs on one of his eyes was red and swollen, and a scratch on his forearm, and also redness on his cheek.
And what did you see on his shirts?
There's red, possibly blood on his shirt.
And state exhibits number 328, 335 that I previously showed you. Were these pictures out there?
Yes, sir.
And do they clearly and accurately represent it?
Yes, they do.
And after you took those pictures, did that end your involvement with this case?
Yes, sir.
Pass the ticket barrels over.
Right, defense.
Good morning. When you arrived at the Christopher Walk address, you spoke with individuals to get a lay of the land of the scene. Is that correct?
My supervisor, I contacted my supervisor when I arrived.
Okay. And you spoke with lay people as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And based upon your investigation, was it your belief that any red marks on the walls of the ceiling were not blood based upon your investigation? Is that correct?
That's what I was told, sir.
Okay, so might grab some evidence, Judge.
Yes.
Thanks. His photos up there. Yeah.
I don't have.
Not published.
Yes.
My question was section.
Yes.
It's detective, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Detective Rose, I'm showing you this amended evidence of state exhibit 305. And that's a photo you took?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And on direct examination, you said that it's apparent blood, but we don't know that for certain, right?
Yes, sir.
And as part of your investigation, you received information that this was actually, it was not blood, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I just don't want to make sure, I want to make sure the jury has a clear picture of what the room was and not mislead them. So this is not blood based upon your testimony, your knowledge of that evening.
I don't know if that is blood or not, sir.
Okay, but you received information it was Kool-Aid or ketchup, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I post the jury real quick, Judge?
Yes.
Thank you, Detective Rose. I just thought it was important to clarify. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Sorry, can I see that exhibit? Of course. Cross, I guess you were showing something on the wall.
Yes, sir.
I won't belabor the point, but obviously the stuff on the floor was clearly what appeared to be blood.
Yes, sir.
I pass the witness.
No further questions.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Excused.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you cannot discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state of the defense. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you your lunch break now. And we're going to be back at 1:30. And remember, you've heard some evidence in this case. Pretty soon, you're going to start being able to repeat in your head what I'm going to tell you. You are not allowed to do any research. You're not allowed to start deliberating. If anybody is around you talking about this case or you see anything, you should turn it off, not paying attention to it. Everything that you need for this case will come from inside the courtroom. Make sure your badges are visible. All right. All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors. All right, everyone, please be seated. Brenda, you can actually go on your lunch break. See what everybody else is doing. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
All right, who do you have?
Well, I don't think they're gonna be able to show who caused those injuries.
All right, what is happening with
Yeah,
Carlos
he's not gonna
Lopez?
testify.
Oh, and if you guys could stand back, I know there's not a line there, but
Maybe we'll get into it, prove that, so, okay.
Unless we, let's see how they figure a way to. We rely on their own business records. I don't know. Yes. Yeah. I want to go check.
And it's not a date saying that it would, yes, have no choice but to make an restitution office offer. Paying out restitution.
all right, I'm going to reset this for January for a jury trial date and a plea deadline date. And that's the last time he'll have the chance to pay the restitution. All right, Ms. Ferguson, I need a January date for Carlos Lopez. And is your client on bond?
Yes, Judge, he is.
All right, where is he?
Lopez.
Come forward. He's a Spanish speaker. Let him know that he needs to either pay the restitution by the time, by next setting. Otherwise, he's going to go to jury trial or enter a plea. What date, Ms. Ferguson?
I can do.
All right, January 12th.
Thank you.
All right, and Ms. Ferguson will give you a reset date. Who's here on Sean Branch? Oh, no. You need to stand back even though there's not a line. Yes. What's happening with this case?
I spoke to, well,
reviewed the file on the testimonies going on, and I've seen it before several times, but I reviewed it again, Mr. Brinkley, tells me that, one of his cohorts or assistants is burning the copy of the. Purchase now for.
Yes.
We have them in our possession, the boring is currently copy.
All right, and is this the only outstanding discovery? Okay, all right, yes, I'm fine with it.
We are missing, and I emailed today, the three-member father sent it to the search of her phone and their cell phone extraction. We have a copy of that. So I emailed. All. Expedited to us.
All right, Ms. Ferguson on Brent, I need a January date for discovery. All right, January 12th at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. All right, what is happening with Fitzpatrick?
I can keep it conferred with,
All right, so this will come back on Monday, the 5th. All right, we'll see you back on Monday, the 5th at 9 a.m. Yeah. All right, Raymond Alejandro.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. So what is happening with this case?
So we do not have an agreement at this point, Your Honor. What Satan and so about the court records. It's as requested. They have not gotten those records in. Just waiting. They are.
Right, the last time we were here, it was for a jury trial setting, so. And my understanding was that all discovery was received, so that hasn't happened.
My understanding, Judge, and I wasn't here at the last thing, that was a request that was made by defense to the state. They have requested those. We're fine to get a trial setting on it, Your Honor, but that is something.
All right, Ms. Ferguson, give me a January date for discovery. This will be the last date for discovery, and it's on Alejandro.
January 12th.
All right, we'll come back on January 12th. Ms. Ferguson will give you a reset form.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Which one's yours?
All right, Darren Doe's.
Oh. 2018.
Okay, who else is here? Because I'm going to go take my lunch break.
Ready, Judge.
So what file is that? Israel Elizondo.
What are you gonna have for lunch?
Oh, I have no idea. All right, so we were here for some school records.
My understanding is that we were able to turn over some of them today. But when looking through them, because we were just had to follow up today, they sent us basically partial records, and that I guess the person who was in charge of these records, who I think we've been having trouble to get a hold of, is supposed to send us the remainder of them. We've turned over what we have to defense.
All right, this January date that I'm going to give you, that's the last day for discovery. And if you all don't have records, you all need to subpoena someone, because after that, this is going to jury trial, or either that's going to be a plea.
Yes, Judge.
Ms. Ferguson, what date in January?
January 12th.
All right, we'll see you all back on January 12th. Ms. Ferguson will give you a reset form.
I may not be available on call. I'm having a medical procedure for the 16th.
Yes.
No, 16th is the holiday.
Oh, yeah, that is so true. Why did I not see that? You know, because I'm looking at the December date.
17th.
Yeah.
All right, 17th.
First, did I give you the form? No. What did I give? Oh, I'm sorry. I think I gave the wrong form. I gave you the wrong one.
It's all right, I find it.
Oh,
Apologies, yeah.
Can I have that one back?
yeah. We'll just call it our center. Wait, this one.
Yes, who are you here for?
Judge, I've got an off-target issue. I want to. That's part of that.
That's gonna have to be at another time during the day because I need to go have lunch. People tell me I get cranky when I don't have lunch. I don't see that.
I've heard that.
Yeah, what do you mean you've heard that?
No, from you.
Nasty rumors, Judge.
Yes.
You. I've heard you.
Okay. All right, where's Mr. Doze? All right, what's happening with this case?
1:30 be fine, Judge?
1:30, we're having the jury come in, so you may have to wait for a short break. All right, what is happening with Mr. Doze?
Judge, I believe we're all up to date on the discovery. We have not come to an agreement with the testing for trial.
All right, I'm gonna need a discovery acknowledgement. Ms. Ferguson, can I have a jury trial date for Mr. Doze?
And I checked in the file, Judge, and there is a discovery acknowledgement already in the file.
Oh, thank you.
So I want to make sure before so I didn't waste the court's time.
Ah, you're so nice. All right, Ms. Ferguson.
Give me 1 second. So I can find it.
Yes.
And Norma, this shouldn't be too long from the
Their
state's
videos.
perspective.
I think February 28th.
There'll be one.
Okay. All right, we'll come back on February 28th at 9 a.m. That will be your jury trial date and your plea deadline date. The court will not accept any plea bargain agreements after that date. All right, and Ms. Ferguson will give you a reset form. You're welcome. Yes.
Afternoon now. How you doing, Judge?
Oh, I'm doing fine.
I'll take on the element. Sorry, we in a juvenile hearing. It's been going all week, so we just finished.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to go take my lunch break.